Hello, welcome back. So today we're building the dice rolling tray that will sit up on the wall of the Colosseum for our table. The dice tray itself, I did not get any footage of me creating because I was visiting my sister, and during that she asked me to show her how to make a house, and while I showed her how to do that, I thought ahead and created this small box. It's just a very simple box made out of the same material as what we are using now. So all we're doing is we traced the size of the box and we're making a roof that will sit on the outside of the box and just making some basic measurements to make sure that will fit. So we should be kinda careful here when we're cutting out the foam. The inside rectangle here we're actually gonna use as a base of our little building. So we're gonna have to make sure we cut it out in a manner that does not damage the foam, and we can set that aside for later in the build project. Once that's out, we can begin to fit that to our building. If we're lucky, we'll get it the right size first time, and we can just angle it and set it like that. Setting that aside, I wanted to add some accents to under where the roof was going to sit. So I just go back to the foam and make some very thin strips that will sit around the edge. So with the accents done, I'm just gluing down the top of the roof to make sure it's in place and won't shift in the next step. And then we get on to a step that I consider very tedious. What I've done is I've gotten some pink insulation foam and cut those down into little tiny rectangles that we are going to use to tile the entire top of the roof. And this will give us a nice brickwork texture for the part of the dice box that is not going to be roof tiles. So yeah, there's other ways to create this effect. If you had used a different kind of foam, quite often you would just carve it directly into the foam. I wanted to do this effect because it's going to go on a table, and I end up getting better effects from this rather than carving it. And I was able to fill in some of the gaps between them with some tile grout, and it looks pretty good by the end of it. So it is worth the effort. It is just pretty tedious because you are individually laying tiles. Okay, so with our roof done, you can see it here. It's got some nice effects to it. And then we go to our piece of foam that we were very careful not to damage when cutting out of the roof. This is going to be our bottom layer, and we begin the monotonous task of tiling once again. I think in total this process took me a solid like 2 to 3 hours just to get the tiling done. Again, trust me, it is worthwhile. It is just, it's a lot. There's other ways to do it, so if you are not up to this, look into one of those other ways. So here we are, we have both of our pieces done, and I am going to tragically destroy my cereal box because I want to do some accents. We're cutting out long strips here, and then we're going to cut individual smaller strips into that. we're making roof shingles. This is one of the easier ways of doing it, I find, since you don't have to set individual shingles, but you can make long strips of them and start at the bottom and start layering those up all the way until the top of the roof. And when you get to the top of the roof, you just want to make some little rectangle caps to make those come together nicely. And ta-da, we got it all together. So, with the roof tiled, I wanted to just flatten up the piece and make some little things to put on the edges. We're using the same thin cardboard as before for the shingles, but this time we are just slotting it in front to make the front of this look flat. If you had watched my introduction video to building the table, you would have seen me make these pillars. This is going to be the first application of those pillars. I printed out a few and I am going to be using that as a way to combine the roof, as you can see, to the lower floor, creating a nice little structure for us. So, once the structure is together, my first step is to apply a texture paste to the entire rolling area. We just want to make sure that's as durable as we can get it for now. And I might actually in the future end up putting a small piece of board in there or some felt. After those, I just cover the entire piece in Mod Podge combined with black paint. It just seals it all in and makes it a bit more durable. Then we move on to base coating the piece. We end up using a nice dark blue for the base of the stones, and I end up using that on all of the tiling. At this point I was thinking of nice clay roofs, so I did the tiles all this nice orange. And then all of the remaining stonework was done this creamy white color, which will end up giving some difference between the blue tiles and the white stone. And here it is, all base coated. At this point I knew I wanted to cover it in a wash, and I would have loved to use an oil wash for this, but I didn't have any on hand, so I ended up using enamel wash all over this, which enamel wash is kind of expensive. It's not the best use of it. If you have an oil wash or even a more standard acrylic paint wash, use that. I just wanted this because it lets me wipe some away as I use it, and it's pretty forgiving. And I literally just coat everything with that. And then I tape the edges between the roof and the shingling so I can safely dry brush the area without getting the lighter orange on the brickwork. Flipping that and doing the same for the brickwork so I don't get anything on the shingles. So at this point I was thinking this looks pretty good, but it still felt like it was missing something. So the next thing I did is I went and got some tile grout mixed with some sand and just poured that onto all of the tiled sections and just brushed most of it off. After it mostly brushed off and it was only sitting in those recesses as much as I could get it, I hit it with isopropyl alcohol mixed with water, which activates the tile grout and it seals it all in. And with that done, it weathers our piece quite nicely, but I like to have a little greenery on everything I build, so I just start applying 2 separate grass covers to the floor and the inside edges of the roof just to make it look overgrown. I end up liking the effect. I don't know, I'm a big fan of having greenery growing through all of your ruins, all of your old buildings. If it exists within a world, it should be green. If you liked the video, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button to continue seeing more of the table as it is built. And this is what we end up with. I'm pretty happy with it. It will make a good addition to the table as we build it, and it's going to get a lot of use one way or another. So next video I'm going to be starting the walls of the arena table, and possibly the main entryway. See you next time. Bye for now.